Okay, and it'll work fine. It'll work fine. But it's going to come in one of two ways. It's going to be a very traumatic, sudden shift for a lot of people, and that's what people really need to wake up to. Is it's going to be very unpleasant if you're not ready. If you're ready for that change, and this is the advantage of being poor. If you're poor, then you're ready for a change where you say, you know what, I don't have much to lose. So I think the poor should take heart in that. And I think there's reference in the Bible about that. The poor should revel in their high position. It just, things are topsy-turvy. The way that God sees things, and the way that we should see things, but the way the world system sees things is diametrically opposed. Okay? It doesn't make any sense. But they keep on trying to tell us, your teachers keep on, just this is what you should believe about this. And this is what the mainstream media tells you. This is what you should believe about this thing. And the mainstream media, I'll tell you what, the more I awaken to how they operate, the more outraged I am. Okay, these people are sickening. We all know they can't offend their sponsors, so right off the bat, that should give us all pause for concern. Okay, because they can't say anything against these drug companies. They can't point out that how most all these mass murders are involved in happy pills. These selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, antidepressants, whatnot. They never talk about that because you see who's sponsoring. Watch the commercials. Okay? Right down the line, these people, look at the banks that advertise on. And what really gets me is these politicians, when it comes to their campaigns, unlimited funding for their commercials. And they, so it's in the interest of these people to be sycophants, bootlickers. So the whole thing is really putrid. And we all need to get it and start speaking out. I mean, if we're all speaking out, for crying out loud, they're going to have to just cease and desist. That's what they really need to do. That's repent or perish. They got to stop doing it. They need to be in jail, or at the least what I believe, because the prison system largely doesn't work because of all the recidivism, and it's just this idea of punishing. It doesn't work. We're all, if you want to think of it like that, we're all worthy of being punished, I suppose. But, that's why I don't believe in punishment. I don't think it works. What you're trying to do is correct somebody. If somebody's thinking is askew, you need to correct them. But when it comes to all the crime out there that's based on financial desperation, I say let's get to the kingpins. Let's go to the kingpins. The billionaires, the multi-billionaires who don't even need the money, who could pay all the taxes in society and it wouldn't even hurt them. It'd all come back to them. You understand? It'd be cash flowing through the society. Because most people don't give a crap about being rich. As long as they feel secure, as long as they feel that cash is going to flow past them again, they're fine. They'll get up and work, serve you loyally and faithfully, and love their jobs. So the whole thing is invented. Think differently. Think the way you are made to think. Think for yourself. And realize that the whole thing is conjured up. It really is. It's like sorcery. The whole thing is like magic. Black magic. The devil is involved, all this stuff. This illegitimate, usurpation of the planet Earth. Okay? These people are ready to go underground. These top elitists, these billionaires and, all their minions, they're ready to go. Look into it. Look at what they have built underground. I tell you, there's stuff that I can't even believe. I've heard of, high-speed railways and, vacuum transportation modules that take you to the other side of the planet. I don't know if all that's true, but it really wouldn't surprise me. I know there's a lot of open areas under the earth. There's a lot of natural caverns, and with today's equipment, they can build anything. They've got these tunnel boring tools and all this. It's very incredible. So really, at this point in history, nothing would surprise me in terms of technology. But I'll tell you this much, is that the only way the system, like I said before, I'll reiterate, the only way the system can break down is if people quit their jobs. That's it. If we all just kept doing what we're doing and just take money out of the equation, suddenly there was no money, but everything that you use in life right now, all the things you're paying money for, were suddenly free. You get it? You wouldn't need the money. It's that simple. We could get to that point gradually so it wouldn't seem so outrageous if we just demanded sound currency. But that's coming one way or another. That is how the captives are set free from the oppressors. That is how we're set free from tyranny. But it's got to be a demand. We know these wolf-like people are out there that don't give a crap. They want to commit genocide on an unspeakable level, to an unspeakable degree, to the tune of 90% of the people they just as soon get rid of. I mean, we've got a nasty, nasty element out there that wants to hurt us, and it doesn't help to bury our heads in the sand. Yes, I know that ignorance is bliss, but I know that's also BS that's fed to us. I don't know how many people out there remember the three monkeys, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. I mean, this gives you, that's exactly the opposite of how we are supposed to think. That's the opposite. We're supposed to be aware that there's predators out there that hate you. They hate your kids. They do not have your best interests at heart. They do not care about you. They will rape, rob, pillage, cheat you, murder you, whatever it takes to keep their lot. That's all they give a damn about. That's it. That's it. That's all they care about, is keeping their position. As long as there's somebody and they have power and what they believe is strength through this money, this false God, this unsound God that they have, they think they're okay. And they think I'm the stupid one that lacks common sense. Okay? But I know otherwise. I know what's written. I know the mind of God, and it is not hidden from anybody. I'm not anything special, but I know that I know. That's it. It's just like as simple as understanding the meaning of a word. There are opposites. I mean, there's right and wrong. There's good and bad. And if you understand those basic truths, you can understand the mind of God. And you can understand basic truth. You can have wisdom and knowledge and accurate information. It is written that God has not given his followers a spirit of timidity, but of love and of power and a sound mind. Okay, I have no doubt I have a sound mind. I know my values, and that makes me happy because I believe God put those values in my heart. I simply accepted them. I didn't reject them. I want to be happy and free, and that's not something you can keep to yourself. Happiness is something you got to share, And what makes me happy is knowing the truth. Even though I don't have it, but it helps me to cope and to go on and say, even though the system keeps on deteriorating at the whims of these top money-loving psychopaths, okay, through decadence, it's decay. It really is. It's a degeneration of our society. Our standard of living we're turning into, they're trying to just turn that dial up, like the frog in the pot of water, and, just see as far as they could push it. But they know they're there. They know they're there. That there's an overwhelming force of people that are starting to get it in all walks of life. I mean, law enforcement's getting it. The military is getting it. Everybody, just your local credit union, your local bankers. I mean, none of these people are necessarily evil, but if they can get away with overextending themselves, I mean, can you imagine the temptation of going into a casino and not being able to lose? That's essentially what happened. But who loses? The people do, through debased currency. Rents have skyrocketed in the last 15 years. Look at rents in San Francisco. Look what they've done. What were they 15 years ago? I can guarantee they've gone up. And wages, have they gone up like that? No. There's your check and balance. That's what's going to get us out of this mess, folks. So with sound currency, please understand this clearly. The evidence is your money will be worth a little more every day. Your sense of security. Okay, your peace of mind. your prosperity will increase every day just a little bit. That's what would happen if we could just get that through and just demand checks and balances. Demand identification of market manipulators and price fixers and accountability and denial. And deny these people participation in the system. We're not going to, if that's what they need to do to participate, have nothing to do with these people because the demand is sound currency. And in order to have sound currency, whereby you have that rising tide of prosperity that lifts all ships, all individuals, concurrently, simultaneously, with a continually reduced work week because of industrialization and technology, new, easier methods of doing things, robotics, automation. This is Adam Smith understood this some 200 years plus ago. He wrote about this just at the dawn, just at the beginning of the industrial age. He understood what was going to happen. How productivity, as it increased, he knew what was going to happen. He also knew that there were some shadowy, evil figures out there that were going to try to rape, pillage, and plunder the people just like they always have through the ages. But he talked about this invisible hand being involved in the whole thing too. And that's the only out I see, because I can't see compromise as a solution. I can't say, oh, well, I know I'm smart enough. I go out and make a few $1,000,000 and start a business, hire a bunch of workers to do something. I mean, there's all kinds of great ideas for entrepreneurs out there. We're all innovators. Aren't we all inventive? How many people haven't had a great idea? Maybe you wrote it down, maybe you didn't. But everybody's got great ideas. Whatever kind of work you do on a regular basis, you're using stuff that you can think of ways to improve. So everybody's got great ideas that can make them plenty of money. But the system, for me, and I think I speak for a lot of people, it's such a turnoff. Man, you're not incentivized. You're disincentivized. Decent, upright people really can see the end from the beginning. They can see how they would feel if they were prosperous. They can see that it's not going to make them happy because of all the people that are suffering, and continually and increasingly so because of austerity, oppression, tyranny, poverty, all the same thing. Through money, through this devil, that's extracting his pound of flesh, just extracting his perverse form of reverence, fear, from the masses, from the peoples of the earth. And it makes me sick, and I'm tired of it, and I want the pain to stop, and I know you want the pain to stop. So anyhow, we're one day closer to getting this thing done, because, and this has been going on this story has been playing itself out a long time. A lot of people think negatively. They think this thing is just going to go on in perpetuity like this. And, that's a vision I just can't share. It just, I can't, I refuse to. It flies in the face of every martyr that ever lived. It flies in the face of the JFKs and the Martin Luther King Jr.'s, the Jesus Christs, and all this many countless others out there that have died for righteousness. All the Protestants that were killed because they refused to give up their Bibles and say where they were to the hierarchy of the religious establishment at the time. This Catholicism at one time was doing this to people, intimidating. It wasn't allowing people to own their own Bible. This was hidden knowledge that was to be reserved for their established religion. So, we wouldn't even have Bibles. We would, to this day probably, if they had their way, nobody would own a Bible. Can you imagine that? So by standing up to these people, we do win, and we will win. The big victory is a permanent victory. I mean, even if it only lasts this 1,000 years that's talked about in the Bible, that's a good long time, 1,000 years. So, I'll be okay with that. I'll be okay with 1,000 years. One day at a time, you know what I mean? But, it's coming. A nice place to live is coming. A place where we're not going to want to engage in self-destructive behavior. So take heart. Keep your chin up. And, it's only by God's grace I go, and everybody out there, that I think the type of people that would listen to me, they can understand that. By the grace of God go we. One day at a time is all that's promised to us. And just remember, our mortality is temporary. What's written is that everybody that ever lived and died will be resurrected. The wicked to everlasting shame, the righteous to everlasting life, with the renewed earth, eternal life, and all that stuff. So we really have nothing to fear. We need fear death no more than going to sleep at night. You know? And, everything happens at God's will, at His